Alright, what the am I playing now? When I was in grammar school, in a time that scientists like to call the Precambrian era, there was a store right next to my school that sold things called computers. This was new and exciting technology. Not a whole lot of people had a family computer back then. And so in an act of marketing genius, they would open their doors just as school let out, letting the kids come in and play games on their machines. And then the kids would beg their parents to get a computer. But the only games that were available were the ones that came with the operating system, which meant we had to choose between normal solitaire, Hearts, and Freecell. And I played Hearts because only nerds played Freecell. But there was a certain allure to just dragging cards into piles. Fast forward 40 years and my back hurts, my eyesight is fading, and still only nerds play Freecell. But now Freecell has the addition of the world's most powerful drug, nostalgia. And so the developers at CHX Games thought, what can we do to milk this nostalgia for all it's worth? And the answer these days is just make it a roguelite. Thus we have Stray Path, the newest $15 roguelite to grace Steam's storefront. Now when I say that this is roguelite Freecell, you may get images of Balatro going through your head, an actual deck of cards or jokers with special abilities. But this actually takes on the Dungeons & Dragons aesthetic. You take the role of an adventurer with basic stats like attack, defense, luck, so on and so forth, and you're delving into a randomly generated dungeon. And that dungeon is made of cards, 5 piles of cards. Among those cards are monsters, items, and the exits to other parts of the dungeon. Click on a monster to do your attack damage to it, and if it survives, it will do its attack damage back to you. Defense reduces damage, you get the idea. For the most part, this is a simple game. There's a little bit of extra complexity thrown in with special monster abilities, special item abilities, and relics that you can find that change the way your character operates. But your general goal is the same. Click on the monsters and don't die. This is easier said than done. So you might think that all you need to do is pump your stats and kill the monsters, like that horrible D&D game you played after school with your friend Steve. But you really have to think before you act, like that slightly better D&D game that you played after school with your friend Steve. The monsters in this game are essentially structured that if you just click them down, you will eventually die. So to prevent them from killing you, you need to move them around from pile to pile. If you empty out a pile, you can drag anything from another pile into that empty space, just like Freecell. This uncovers the cards underneath. So if the monster at the top of the pile will definitely kill you, drag it into an empty space and maybe you'll find a weapon underneath it. If all the monsters on screen will kill you, shuffle your cards around so that you can find the exit card and just get the heck out of there. This is an example of a game that is doing a whole lot with very little. And there is a certain addicting quality to finishing off a dungeon and making sure that all the piles are cleared. It's the same addicting quality that Freecell had way back in the day. Now, if you're looking for a game that has a deep story or lore or something like that, you're not gonna get it here. This is a new Steam roguelite of the week through and through. That means mainly what you're going to be trying to do is get deeper in the dungeon to get more points. And those points let you unlock things that make you more powerful and get you even more points. You'll get a handful of starting bonuses. You'll get new starting relics that give you character-specific bonuses. You'll get new starting relics that give you character-specific perks. And you'll unlock new classes. You start with the Rogue, which is basically a jack of all trades. But eventually you'll unlock classes like the Assassin, which excels at killing monsters in one hit, the Knight, which has high defense and can summon helper monsters onto the top of piles, the Priest, who has a lot of self-sustain, the Berserker, who just really likes to pump his stats, and the Gambler, for people with an addiction. And while these characters start each run playing a little bit differently, they end up finishing the run the same way. Which is to say, eventually you always want to get your attack high enough to kill enemies in 1 or 2 hits, and your defense high enough so that you don't die when they attack you back. There just isn't enough variation in the relics to make the game feel meaningfully different from class to class, which is one of this game's biggest failings. That being said, I've already put 12 hours into this game. Clicking cards makes the dopamine go. The progression curve is a little weird. I, at this point, have unlocked all the classes and all of their starting relics, and this is probably a self-report, but I haven't actually finished a single run. So the game's very generous with its unlocks. I haven't unlocked all of the starting perks or all of the starting perk slots yet, but toward the end of the unlock list, the perks aren't actually all that interesting. Mostly they're just things that make the game slightly harder, which I guess adds a little bit of replay value, but not enough replay value that I see myself playing this another 12 hours. Then again, what do I know? The hours melt away when I play this game. This is one of those games that you really want to have open in another window while you're also focusing on a movie or a YouTube video or something like that. It's a great way to keep your hands busy. It's also one of those games that you will play a whole lot as soon as you buy, and then slowly taper off when you realize there isn't enough variation to keep you coming back. But at $15 with an opening discount knocking it down to $12, I've basically gotten $1 per hour of enjoyment out of this game, and I can't complain about that. Now, the developers have said that they're going to add new cards, new mechanics, new relics, new options, just new ways to experience the game as time goes on. But we know how the Steam dance works. Sometimes those promises are fulfilled, sometimes they're not. The game already has the beginnings of a mod scene, and I could see further down the line mods giving this game another injection of life. I could also see this being a pretty good cozy game to stream or to watch others stream. Hang around listening to chat tell you which cards to drag where, there is a certain appeal to that. I think value-wise, I would have liked to see this about $5 cheaper. I'm really splitting hairs here, but for $15, I wish that there was just a little bit more I could dig my teeth into. Again, I haven't actually finished a single run, and in most of my runs, I see every relic in the game, and I end up getting multiples of the ones that I like. There just isn't enough here to discover. I think that's the big problem. But sometimes you just gotta let small games be what they are. If 6-year-old me wandered into a PC store and saw this playing, I'd beg my parents for it. And I think that's the scope that we need to keep in mind here. This is trying to be something like Freecell. This is a game to keep you busy, and there's an important part in the gaming landscape for games like that. D&D is huge right now, people like cat girls and elves with big boobs. It's a match made in heaven. I think if you pick up this game early for its discounted price, or possibly later when a Steam sale is going on, that's the best way to do it. Like I said, for the full $15, it's not quite there, but at $10, this is a really fun game. Now, if someone would make roguelike hearts, now that's where the money is.